Hi, my name is Justin Gilbert, and what you are playing right now is version 1.0 of my demonstration of implementing Wise into an Unreal Engine 5 project. This project was worked off and on over the course of the beginning of 2024, and plans to showcase my ability as a sound designer to both create original assets for interactive media and as an implementer to design systems and logic for sound assets in a project such as this. Oh, you can move around using the WASD keys on your keyboard and look around with the mouse, by the way. Doors, windows, and other objects in the environment can be clicked on to interact with them. Also, if I'm talking too much, you can just skip through my rambling with the spacebar or stop it altogether with the Enter key. Don't worry, I won't get offended. This demo is very bare bones in terms of gameplay, consisting of really only the ability to walk around this environment and inside of the house. But feel free to explore and listen to me ramble on about this project with the info points on the map, which you can click on and learn more about this demo. If you have any questions or want to reach out, my email is justingilbertsound@gmail.com. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you'd like to see more of my work, my portfolio site is justingilbertsound.com. Thanks for being here, and hope you enjoy your time. So that's all nice and good, but this demo had some problems, and because of that, I'm not going to be able to put it out for you to play. But I hope by watching this video of me showing off everything that I did, that the point gets made of everything that I did here. This demo is made using Unreal Engine 5.3.2 with blueprints and Wise 2023.1.0. I picked these because I wanted to be able to show my capabilities working in these programs in addition to Unity and Fmod, which I've worked with previously on Project Eden's Garden and my Viking Village demo. I've used Unreal Engine before, working on small little demos and playing around with the mechanics and blueprint systems. And I've gone through the Wise training courses available on Audiokinetic's website, short of buying the certifications. The level you see before you is a demo map from the Modular Victorian House Environment Pack by Zenia Chikzolski, available on the Unreal Marketplace, which I got for free from Epic's Free for the Month assets. Editing Justin here. In the time that I've recorded this and worked on this demo, it's now called Fab. It's a completely different thing. So it's Fab now. You can find it on Fab. I chose this because it was a pre-built environment with a lot of blueprints for interactables. Plus, this demo house looked gorgeous, and I felt really inspired to take what was here and create my own soundscape. The demo included everything contained within the brick fencing around the property. However, I wanted this house to feel as though it existed in a space and not just floating in a skybox. So I imported a basic free height map that I found online and set the house within a valley. I took the single tree asset you see within the walls surrounding the property and some grass and brushed the foliage around the house. I also extended the walkway going around from the front gate and added lampposts along the way. The lighting and post-processing effects already within the demo made the additional environment I built around the place look fantastic. And now, this house and the world around it feels a lot more real. So the interactables in the demo map that came with the pack already had blueprints with sound assets. So I removed all of those and replaced them with Wise post-event modules referencing the actor the blueprint was attached to. In the Wise project, all of the audio, aside from the fireplace in what I have called the Grand Room, is contained within containers. Mostly random containers, however, the footsteps are within a switch container, and the commentary voice was planned to be put into sequence containers. Every interactable with a Wise post event in the blueprint contains anywhere between 3 to 5 audio file variations within. And I added some amount of pitch and volume variations to some of these as well. It's pretty standard practice to add some level of randomization to simple and repeatable sound assets so the player isn't taken out of the experience with the same exact sound over and over again. The music in the level is called The Moments in Between. And it's an original track that I wrote 2 years ago. I made it in a couple hours off of a basic piano ostinato going back and forth between two different chord arpeggios. This was kind of an experiment with texture, seeing what layers I could add that would build the vibe without being overpowering. I chose this song because, well, if I'm honest, I kind of just threw the original track in as a placeholder to test the music, and I just got attached to it in the context of the level, so I decided to use it. For this demo, I used it as a vertically dynamic soundtrack that changes based on where the player is, meaning that certain layers will fade in or out or change altogether when you move from one room to another. These were made using trigger boxes in Unreal and RTCPs with Wwise. When the player enters a room, they will leave a trigger box, fading out the main layer associated with that box, and collide with another trigger box, fading a brand new layer in. A lot of these changes are very, very subtle, but I think that it works well because it doesn't distract the player. In future versions of the demo, when I plan to have more gameplay elements, I wanted to have some horizontally dynamic changes in the music and possibly some transitions added in as well. To talk more specifically about the footstep sounds, all of the footstep sounds are sounds that I recorded at some point over the past couple of years of doing random Foley recordings. And the sound of the material the player is stepping on will change as they walk over different surfaces. These surfaces are recorded within the project settings, and each corresponding surface the player may walk on has its surface type set on the material attached to the mesh. There were 5 unique footstep material sounds: stone, grass, dirt, wood, and carpet. In Wwise, I created a switch container with all of these sounds, with variations and randomization logic, of course. And in the animation blueprint for the character in Unreal, I added notifies for the character's walking animation whenever their foot hits the ground. These notifies execute a line trace by channel node to shoot a line down beneath the character and then return the surface type of the material it intersects. That information is then sent to a switch set node, change the switch state, and then executes a post event for the footstep event in Wwise. One thing to note is that the carpet sound when walking on the rugs within the level does not work currently, as the line trace by channel is most likely returning the value of the mesh below the carpet. I have ideas how to fix this, but in the current version of the demo, it's fine. So let's talk about how I planned on doing the voiceover commentary for the game. I planned on having what you're hearing now be set as different points in the environment that you can interact with. Each info point would have a custom dialogue blueprint on it that triggers voiceover and on-screen text. In the script for commentary, I've cut it up into sections long enough to show the text box on screen. I then cut the commentary audio so that each audio file was just for the cut up sections of the script. I tried to just cut up a single uninterrupted take of the whole section of the script so that it felt more natural when it went from one to the next. These audio files were then placed into a sequence container in Wwise. Now, in Unreal, all of the text sections were placed into a string array within the dialogue blueprint as a variable. Another variable I made was a talk index integer that could be incremented as each section of the dialogue is finished. First, it will initialize the dialogue by checking to see if a dialogue blueprint is already active, in which case it will not execute. If there is no active event, it will set the dialogue active variable to true. Talk index will be set to 0, and the sequence container will be reset, so it starts with the first line. A for loop is then executed with the first index being 0 and the last index being set to the length of the dialogue array -1. It takes the dialogue array and then returns the first line corresponding to the value of the talk index. A UI element is created on the screen that shows this text. Then a Wwise post event and wait for end of node event plays the Wwise event in the sequence container for its dialogue. It waits until the audio has completed and then increments the talk index by 1. This loop repeats for as many elements as there are in the dialogue array, printing the line corresponding to the current talk index. Once complete with the for loop, the UI is destroyed. The talk index is set to -1, and the dialogue active variable is set to false. Now, I have it set up also that if you hit the enter key, it will break out of the for loop, stopping all dialogue instantly. And if you press the spacebar, a stop actor node will execute, ending the current voice line and moving directly to the next. So let's talk about some problems that I had with this demo. Working on this demo was a great learning experience because I never really made a small project before in Unreal and Wise. With that came with a bit of a learning curve, of course, and some problems along the way. First issue I came across was with the trigger boxes for fading the different layers of the music in and out as the player moves from room to room. When the player would leave the grand room, it would trigger the player leaving after the player had passed into another room's trigger box. My solution was just to decrease the size of the trigger box for the grand room so that the player may fully leave that area before entering another. I wanted to come up with a more elegant solution for this, and it probably is a bit more obvious, but I never ended up getting around to it. Another issue I had was Wise's occlusion and obstruction parameters. Whenever I attached a Wise post-event module to an actor in the scene and referenced it, if there is anything, and I mean anything, between that actor and the player, it would cut out all of the audio entirely. This includes the windows in the grand room being occluded by the curtains in front of them. I don't know if there's a specific way to have certain objects in the level be set to not occlude audio between Unreal and Wise, but my solution was just to turn off all occlusion on actors that were affected by this. Mainly just those windows and the stairs that go up to the attic. Not the best solution, I know, but in the context of this level in its current state, it works. Lastly, I had some problems with the voiceover. The for loops that I used did not respect the post and wait for end of event module because it would just execute everything all at once and not wait for the audio to end. I found out that for loops in Unreal don't really like delay modules very much. So believe it or not, I found out the solution for this problem from a TikTok I randomly found in a Google search. Yeah. So basically, I had to make a custom for loop module in Blueprints so that it actually would wait for the Wise post and wait for event module. Most of the problems came from just not knowing how something worked, and I think that was very important in the context of this demo. Learning through trial and error and figuring out where you went wrong helped me a lot, and now I know these things for the future. Another very basic and honestly amateurish decision was not to make builds of this demo throughout the production of it or use any sort of version control, because after playing around with a bunch of different plugins and trying to figure out how different things work, once I was finished with wanting to make a version 1.0 version of the demo, the cook failed, and I could not figure out how to fix it. And from looking online, I should have been testing this in different builds over time. That's on me. And that's why I can't really release this version of the game on itch or anywhere else so that you can play it, because it just won't build. So that's why this video exists, as mainly to show that I did put in the work to do all this stuff, and I don't want to throw this project away, so at least I'm gonna get something out of it. So I had some other plans that I wanted to do with this demo. This would have been version 1.0, and I wanted to expand on it with more stuff to make it more impressive at showing my skills with Wise and Unreal. But if I can't build the game, then I don't really feel that it's too productive of my time to work on it much further in its current state. I wanted to add some characters that the player can interact with and talk to that have their own spoken dialogue and logic. I wanted to add the ability for the player to interact with more objects in the level in a more meaningful way, and I wanted to design some gameplay or basic story events so that there was more in the house to do than just walk around a house. And with that, I could add some stuff like locked doors the player could unlock to progress, or maybe even add a monster. Ooh. I just wanted to add some more atmospheric elements like rain and wildlife moving around and making some sound. Something very Wise specific I wanted to add was to implement some thresholds into the house so that each room had its own ambience and reverb that could leak into adjacent rooms. But I think I can probably practice doing that still in Unreal and Wise, but maybe in a very smaller form factor just to kind of get a proof of concept out. So that's basically it with the demo. I apologize that I don't have a link for you to download and play it because, well, I can't build it. But I hope that at least by showing off what I did in this video gets the idea across of some of the ideas that I was going for with this. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. And if you want to follow me, I'm going to be posting stuff on here. Go to my website, and all that stuff's in the description. And yeah, thank you for watching. Later.